The glass conference room had never felt so small. 40 floors above the city, the skyline shimmered in the afternoon heat, but inside the room the air felt heavy, suffocating. $100 million deal was collapsing in real time. At the head of the table stood the CEO, a man known for his calm power and flawless control. His tailored navy suit was perfect, his silver watch gleamed under the lights, but his confidence had begun to crack. Across the table sat 3 investors from Madrid, their faces tightening with every passing second as they spoke rapidly in Spanish. No one in the room understood a word. Papers shuffled. Executives exchanged helpless looks. A legal advisor whispered nervously to the assistant beside him. The hired translator was supposed to arrive 20 minutes earlier. But he never showed up. The investors were losing patience. One of them closed his laptop halfway, his expression hardening. And for the first time in years, the CEO felt something he hadn't felt in a boardroom before. Panic. If you believe every story hides a lesson waiting to be discovered, take a moment to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with someone who loves powerful stories, and subscribe to Humanity Stories for more moments that remind us what people are capable of. Outside the glass walls of the conference room, unnoticed by almost everyone inside, stood a quiet 17-year-old intern. He had been there all summer. Most employees barely remembered his name. He was the kid people joked about in the break room, the one who wore the same 2 hoodies on rotation, the one who carried a beat-up notebook everywhere, the one who spoke so little that some assumed he barely understood what was happening around him. A few had laughed when HR announced the internship program that included students from underfunded schools. They had assumed the teenagers would just file papers and fetch coffee. Inside the conference room, tension reached a breaking point. One of the Spanish investors leaned forward, speaking faster now, frustration sharp in his voice. The CEO rubbed his temple, staring at the table. Then, quietly, the door creaked open. Heads turned. Standing there awkwardly was the intern, tall but thin, dark skin catching the fluorescent light, his slightly oversized white shirt wrinkled from a long day. His ID badge hung crookedly from his neck. For a moment, nobody spoke. Someone at the table sighed under their breath. This was not the moment for interruptions. But the teenager swallowed his nerves and stepped forward anyway. He had been listening from the hallway for nearly 5 minutes. Every word. The CEO looked up, confused, irritated, exhausted. And then something unexpected happened. The intern began speaking, not in English, in flawless, natural Spanish. The room froze. The teenager's voice was calm but steady as he repeated the investors' concerns in English, carefully translating their frustration about delivery delays, contract wording, and penalties hidden in the fine print. The CEO blinked. The legal team leaned forward. The investors exchanged surprised looks. Then the intern turned back toward them and continued speaking Spanish again, this time explaining the company's position, translating the CEO's earlier points that had been lost in confusion. But he didn't just translate words. He translated tone. He softened sharp phrases, clarified misunderstandings, explained cultural expressions that didn't carry the same meaning in English. Within minutes, the conversation transformed. Where there had been frustration, there was now discussion. Where there had been tension, there was cautious understanding. The CEO slowly leaned back in his chair, studying the intern as if seeing him for the first time. The teenager's hands trembled slightly at his sides, but his voice never wavered. For 20 minutes he moved between 2 languages with the confidence of someone who had done it his entire life. And in truth, he had. His grandmother had raised him in a crowded apartment above a small grocery store where Spanish filled the air every day. After school he helped customers, translated for neighbors at doctor visits, filled out forms for families who didn't speak English. No one had ever called it a skill. To him, it had simply been life. Back in the conference room, the final document slid across the table. One of the investors read it carefully, then looked up. Slowly, he nodded. Hands were shaken. The deal was saved. Just like that. As the investors gathered their things, one of them turned to the intern and spoke warmly in Spanish, a smile finally replacing the earlier frustration. The teenager's nervous grin spread across his face. For the first time all afternoon, laughter filled the room, but it wasn't the same kind of laughter people had shared about him before. When the door closed behind the investors, silence lingered for a moment. The CEO stood.